why the United States cannot actually afford to alienate Canada. Not politically, not economically, and definitely not strategically. And the funny part, Washington knows this, even when it pretends it does not. Every few years, the same movie plays. An American president, an election cycle, a tough-sounding speech, tariffs, border threats, America first, and Canadians get told the same warning. Careful, we need them more than they need us. That line sounds smart. It sounds realistic. It sounds responsible. But it is incomplete. Because by the end of this video, you will see why the United States can posture, but it cannot actually push. And why, behind closed doors, Washington always does the math before it does the damage. Let's be adults about this. Yes, the United States is bigger. Yes, it is louder. Yes, Canada cannot just flip a switch and replace the US. Or true, but here is where people mess this up. They treat size like leverage. They treat noise like power. They assume dependency only runs one way. That assumption is totally wrong. Because Canada and United States are not just trading partners. They are structurally fused. Most countries trade. Canada and the US co-produce. That difference matters more than people realize. A car does not get made in one country. It crosses the border again and again and again. Engines, transmissions, electronics. Some vehicles cross the border 5 to 7 times before they are finished. That's not trade you can weaponize casually. That's a system you can break, but not fix quickly. Canada-US auto supply. This is why tariffs on Canada always end the same way. On paper, they punish Ottawa. In reality, they punish American manufacturers, American workers, American governors. Factories do not wait patiently for politics to settle. They slow down. They lay people off. They call their senators. That's why tariff threats come with microphones. But retreats happen quietly, after hours, with lobbyists in the room. Now, let's talk energy, because this is where the fantasy really collapses. The United States does not just buy Canadian energy, it relies on it. Canadian oil flows south. Canadian natural gas stabilizes regions. Canadian electricity powers American cities. Entire US states are wired into Canadian supply. You don't threaten someone who keeps your lights on. You manage that relationship very carefully. Okay, here is a part that never makes campaign speeches. Defense. Canada is not adjacent to US defense. Canada is embedded inside it through NORAD, early warning systems, aerospace tracking, missile detection. There is no serious American homeland defense plan that excludes Canada. You do not alienate someone who is inside your radar architecture. You coordinate with them, even when politics gets messy. Okay, so here is the blunt truth. If Canada vanished tomorrow, Washington would not feel smug. It would feel panic. Borders would jam. Factories would stall. Defense planners would lose sleep. Not because Canada is flashy, but because Canada is load-bearing. That's not weakness. That's quiet power. Now, zoom out. Canada is not just important to the US. Canada matters to everyone the US wants on its side. Through NATO, Canada helps stabilize coalitions, share intelligence, distribute burden. When Washington bullies Canada, it does not just strain one relationship, it rattles the whole alliance structure. And Washington knows that credibility, once cracked, is expensive to rebuild. This is why American pressure follows a predictable arc. Step 1, threats for domestic audiences. Step 2, markets react. Businesses complained. Governors called Washington. Step 3, quiet recalibration. Not because Canada won an argument, because the economic and security math stops making sense. Canada does not escalate. Canada absorbs. It lets American industry, allies, and institutions apply the pressure instead. That's not passivity. That's strategic restraint. And it is why Canada outlasts political cycles that burn hotter and faster elsewhere. So let's talk about what we know versus what we don't. What we know first. Canada and the United States are deeply integrated economically, militarily, and politically. Disrupting that integration carries real domestic costs for the US. And here is what we don't know: how far future US leaders might push symbolism over substance. Politics can override logic briefly, but systems built over decades do not unwind cleanly. History shows they snap back. This is the core misunderstanding. Canada does not need to dominate Washington. Canada does not need to threaten Washington. Canada just needs to remain indispensable. And it already is. The loudest country in the room still needs quiet partners to function. That's the leverage Canada built patiently, deliberately, over generations. Canada is not weak. Canada is not helpless. Canada is not irrelevant. Canada is strategically embedded, and embedded power lasts longer than shouting matches. That's why alienating Canada is always floated and never finished. Next time you hear United States politicians talk tough about Canada, remember this: threats are cheap. Integration is expensive to undo. Canada did not stumble into this position. Canada earned it quietly, patiently, effectively. If this helped you see Canada differently, hit like and subscribe. Join the membership or buy me a coffee, totally optional, but it is how I stay independent. And stick around because this is not the only place Canada holds leverage, not even close. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.